back to mic number 2.
My name is Pat Collins, and I'm a longtime resident also in St. Albert. I guess this question is for Mayor Krause and any other incumbent who would like to answer. We've heard a great deal. We recall Mr. Chichak's his facts and figures, 80% rise in taxes, 30% in the consumer price index. So my question would be, of the wants that you have, and by the way, my property taxes rose 17%, but as someone said that year, so did the property value. But I don't wish to sell my property. I want to stay here in St. Albert. So that rise in my property value didn't help me. At any rate, I would like to know at what the mayor and incumbents might do if they're reelected to take out of this budget. It's clearly with DARP and the move last night and the other various things on the agenda. What are you willing to take out?
So what expenses they'd like to see cut, or what they would have trimmed?
What programs, what, do we want to fund a new library? Do we want to fund an art gallery? I'm certainly not against those.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay,
all right.
Thanks.
Actually, before we hit the incumbents, let's hear from Shelley Bermansky.
Okay, what I would be willing to eliminate is pretty much...
Yeah, swing the microphone towards you without touching it much. Okay, sorry. Swing it towards you. There you go. Thanks.
What projects I would be willing to eliminate currently would be everything except services and working on taxes. I think that we need to stop everything where it is right now, plan a way to get our tax base down, maintain our services for a lesser cost, start at zero-base budgeting, and then plan an order of projects that everybody wants, not just my choice or someone else's choices of what projects the city wants, but an input from the people and decide an order of achieving those. When you can afford them, do them. But we have way bigger things to tackle right now. The taxes going up was just minor. If you add all the service costs and utility fees in there, I mean, the numbers are twice what was already mentioned. So it's a matter of just making living in St. Albert homes affordable. That's all.
All right. Thank you. Mayor Krause?
Thank you. I think the answer, first of all, Mr. Collins, I don't think there's one simple answer. I just want to look back just very briefly. The last two budgets, there were about 120 motions of cost reduction put forward. I put forward 66 of those 120 motions, and there was really no one line item where you can really tackle. I think if there's probably a nugget of opportunity, it's really the real challenging penetration we must take on the capital, because the amount of capital that we have that ultimately is taxpayer money for the most part. There's some grant money, but the second part of that is it turns into operating money required to feed that capital. So I think that's the key thing. And the other thing, just finally in closing, there is to some degree a catch-up, I think, that we have an obligation to report, and that is the catch-up is not with St. Albert compared to the rest of the province. The province is catching up to St. Albert. And for example, in the last 3 years total, the Edmonton taxes average went up 20%. Compared to that to St. Albert, we went up about 12%. So Leduc is catching up. Grand Prairie's passed us. Cold Lake's passed us. So the cities around the province are catching us. It's a challenge for all municipalities in the province, but I think what we've got to do is make sure that every item in that budget is challenged, and we've got to continue to do that. And I'm repeating myself when I say that capital is really the key opportunity to make sure we're not adding additional operating costs.
James Burrows, then Lynn Bracco.
Thanks, Eileen. Also, the public needs to know, particularly if you're a senior, in Council 2 years ago in the last budget cycle, Council in conjunction with the Alberta government has set up a program to have your property taxes subsidized by the province. And we adopted that program, and we have had it in place now for almost 2 years in conjunction with municipal affairs. So if you are a senior and you are living in your home, please, please, please take advantage of that program.
Mr. Bracco?
Thank you. I moved a motion that, and will continue to do again, that taxes, the maximum tax increase will be 1.5% for 2 years, 2011, 2012, and I will move it again at budget time. Secondly, introduced and we're starting to implement life cycle maintenance and replacement costs. So when we do a capital project, we know from the business case what the operating, maintenance, and replacement cost will be. This helps to give us more information on making wiser decisions. Certain projects may have to be not done or delayed for a certain period of time.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to the next question, please.
Well, good evening. My name is John Richards, and I'd like to say at the outset I am a resident of Ainsdale, and I welcome affordable housing in my community. My question is to you, Mayor Krause. I've been implicitly invited to a special meeting convened by you at the City Hall tomorrow at 5 p.m. on 70 Arlington. When I attend a meeting, I like to be informed of its content. I called your office today and was advised that the only person who could inform me as to what was on the agenda was yourself, Mayor Krause. However, you would not be responding to any of my questions. Is this yet another example of transparency, which we have yet again heard tonight? Why the continuing cloak of secrecy on 70 Arlington? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, in terms of the meeting tomorrow night is at 5 p.m. in Council Chambers. The purpose of the meeting is 70 Arlington, and it is to communicate publicly and transparently the communication that we've had from the school board as well as Habitat. And everyone will get the information at the same time. It would be inappropriate for me to be communicating as the chief executive of this company, of this corporation, the information to one or two people, when in reality the objective and transparency is to communicate to everybody the same information at the same time. So tomorrow night we're receiving two pieces of information and Council will have to react to it. Habitat's position on 70 Arlington and the school board's position on 70 Arlington.
Thank you. All right, we have about a little under 10 minutes left in this segment, so we'll take another question over here. Is there another question over there? Yes, please.
My name is Elke Blodgett. Those who know me know I'm not going to talk about taxes, but about the environment. Some of you may be aware that the Loess Hole Provincial Park has been greatly expanded recently, and it's an absolutely wonderful thing to happen. Sadly, though, the portal to the park is from St. Albert to the Bless platform at the lake, and it is dominated by an ugly overhead power line that kills birds. I don't think I need to ask the current council if they would agree to cost share relocating the power line, which was recommended by both the government and by Altalink, because you've already refused to pay. What about the new candidates? Are you interested at all in relocating that power line, which should be done? It would never be allowed to be built there anymore these days. It's in a totally wrong location.
Kathy Heron, with your last name, would you take that first?
Right.
Somebody told me I should put a heron on my brochure.
Elke would vote for you.
Yes. I live right on the Sturgeon River. We see herons in the river all the time. So I have a invested interest, and so do all residents in St. Albert, have an interest in what happens with our natural environment. I'm unaware of what the cost of that cost sharing would be, so I'd need to see the numbers before I committed to it, but I would be surely very open to it because I know that the migratory birds are being affected by those overhead power lines, and we want to make that area as natural as possible.
Thank you. James Van Dam?
I think you bring up a good point as well. This is a safety concern, not only with the environment, same with the bridge that's being proposed from the new Enjoy Center over to Loess Hole Park. We have to look at these risks as a city. If someone was to get zapped by that power line or someone was to get hit by a car, I think we need to mitigate those risks and make sure that we not only protect our environment, but we protect our citizens with the appropriate safety precautions.
Thank you very much. Are any of the other challengers wanting to answer that question? All right, we'll move to the next question, please, over on this side.
Hello, my name is Ted Durham. I'm a 20-year resident of St. Albert. And I've been to candidates forums before, and I listen to candidates, and I look at flyers and always expect them to live up to what they have said in their flyers, and I'm disappointed most of the time. So we hear a lot about taxes, and personally, as a resident of St. Albert, I'd like to see my taxes reduced. But I don't know that a council would be able to do that. But I know Mr. Bracco presented a plan that we would freeze our taxes at a maximum of 1.5% for 2 years. And we have a lot of taxpayers here right now, and I think we would all like to know the answer of this. And I'd like to see a show of hands who would make that commitment tonight to do that for us.
And that was specifically to lower taxes?
No, to keep our tax increase to a maximum of 1.5% for 2 years. Who is willing to commit to that?
I think. Can I speak to that?
Yes, please, Member Harley.
I couldn't commit to keeping tax increases to 1.5% because, firstly, I think they're way over now. So I'm not sure I'd want to increase what's way over now. We have a budget here, like I said, of $570 million. 3 of the items that pop out are heritage parks, $14 million for the grain elevators. We have $12 million for new buses. Buses that go through Parkwood, other than the bus driver, there's nobody on them, and we're going to buy $12 million more buses. We have $8 million of traffic lights. Can you tell me any major intersection in St. Albert that does not have a traffic light now? And we're going to buy $8 million more.
Okay, hold on.
So I think the taxes have to go down. We can't say we're going to keep them. If you agree that the taxes should not go up more than 1.5%, it means you agree with the level of taxes we have now. And I don't agree with the level of taxes we have now.
You do agree?